of people saying that the pilot was years ago and to just get over it. You're wrong. People cling to it for a reason. If you want the short of it, it's because the characters were really well expanded upon and felt more lovingly crafted. There's a saying that goes quality over quantity, which very much fits here. Characters in the pilot, while fitting into their respective archetypes, feel more like real people. They have their own ways of talking and they feel distinct. However, in the show, everyone has the same loud, cussing teenager speaking. They just speak in the same way that people do now, like modern day sort of lingo, we'll say. I've talked about this with everyone. I sort of talked about everyone from I sort of sprinkled in a few ideas in some other videos, like mentioned this, and I think today I want to go over comparing how differently they were portrayed, like every character. Starting off with Charlie. Boy, is she ever shafted by the writers. Her current character displays an overly childish. Her current character is overly childish, I feel. She's barely able to stay on task with actually redeeming sinners and is overly concerned with her publicity, we'll say. There's so much of her that's like not even trying to connect with her main self or what her development already has. Like in season 1, she learned the hard way what would happen if she crossed the boundaries that Angel Dust had set in place. Then in season 2, she completely tosses that all aside. When we look into why this is, Vivzie stated that she wanted to add Charlie's struggling to prove her ideas because that's how she feels now. The reason she kept making impulsive, reckless decisions is because this reflects how Vivzie acts on Twitter, always digging a deeper hole for herself, which I understand doing this in season 1 with Charlie proving herself to Adam, but it kind of gets to a certain point. You're letting your pre-established character writing be torn apart for the sake of projection. Charlie already has learned not to do this. We don't need to see a repetition of her character. And let me add on, I hate how frequently she swears. Everyone's pretty excessive, and for some of them it makes sense, but Charlie is supposedly a sheltered princess, and she's all about becoming pure enough to reach heaven. Having her swear like an average teenager, it's lame. In the pilot, we don't really see her cuss as often, and it's a lot more focused on her getting characterization, if that makes sense. She's a bit naive, sure, but she's not completely airheaded. She knows 666 News is probably not going to be in favor of this redemption hotel, but she's more focused on the possible exposure she could get and maybe getting through to someone's heart. Even when Katie tries to make digs at her, Charlie is unrelenting in her drive to get her idea out there. And when she gets attacked, she defends herself, not letting herself go down without a fight. She also has more of a brain about making deals with Alastor before. She knows he's an infamous radio demon and his deals are always bound to end badly. So when he comes knocking with an offer, she knows to be cautious. In fact, she completely refuses to accept his deal, as it would just put her in a possibly harmful obligation. She was smart about what she did. She had legitimate reason for everything. Vaggie in the show, unfortunately, gets cast aside as Charlie's girlfriend, who's her polar opposite. The overdone trope of a happy, bubbly person with a downer or someone who's realistic. All of her goals in the show orient around Charlie and furthering her dream, which kinda feels reductive, you know? I understand thematically this could be about how she dedicated her life to one cause, and now she's flipped to dedicating to Charlie's dream. This could work, however, they could still at least give her own internal conflicts, or plant the seeds of her being curious to explore hell and rediscover herself. Vaggie at most has gotten her name arc, and that's all her life thus far. Her life thus far has not really been about her own. That is something I'll delve into further in another video. In her pilot edition, she's not too different, still mostly being an accessory to her partner. I believe she was human back then. Not sure. I would like to talk about Angel though, of course. Something I don't believe I've mentioned yet here, but Angel, I feel like he was more likable back then, I have to say. I still found him to be annoying, but it wasn't awful. In the show, He's sort of like sexually harassing Husk all the time. It gets explained away with him shouting about his sexuality makes him worth a significant amount, and that he's trying to ruin himself so Valentino abandons him. In season 2, he gets a bit more stuff outside of it, outside of like the sexual content, even though it isn't a lot. He gets to lounge around a bit before going right back into being a victim of abuse. Beaten by Vox, humiliated by Charlie, and now he has to live with Valentino because why? It's hard to focus on anything either, other than the fact that he's just there to get beaten until he can't think for himself anymore. His character in the pilot doesn't just get turned into a helpless victim. He does have more personality, one that feels more genuine. And you know, I shouldn't say helpless victim because Angel does defend himself. However, it does feel like in a lot of scenes he does just sort of take it. Or like, he just keeps letting it happen, not accepting that he can change it. Angel in the pilot, he is established to be a drug addict and a sexual character, but he can also be sweet. I feel like his voice's tone here wasn't as obnoxious. It was more, I guess, a subdued version of his known attitude. He's got this sort of sleazy style to talking. He's not like being so over the top with it. There's so much of the voice in the show just feel over the top, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Nifty. Now, I really want to talk about her here. In Prime's show, she's absolutely atrocious. She's a generic feeling gremlin Tumblr girl character type. She's a fetishization of Japanese women, and she's a quote-unquote gag character there as comedic relief, even though all of them serve the exact same purpose of being quote-unquote comedic relief. She's just so obviously trying hard to be the quirky, edgy self-insert without anything more to her character. You've seen this exact thing a million times over. Even in the GOAT movie, Moto is kind of the same genre of character. Love that movie, but damn, Moto is not hard to watch. Nifty's pilot rendition doesn't have a whole lot, however. The bits of her that we do see are a lot more preferable to the one in the show. First off, while yes, she does appear a bit young, she isn't infantilized, perhaps because she doesn't have enough time for people to be doing that to her, but in the way that she acts, Nifty isn't as in your face about her being super into bad boys or liking things touching her. You know, anything that like was her being like, ooh, I love being sexualized, ooh, I love being an object, ooh, I love hurting and killing things. She wasn't just outright saying that stuff. She's more like an overly energetic but well-meaning character. And she just didn't know that she was being socially unacceptable, that she was being a lot. Like, it's not just spelled out in everything she says. She's even still got her boy obsession here, but it's a quick line, and she apologizes to Charlie, and it doesn't really want to make them feel bad for not being men. Husk doesn't really get much in the pilot. I'll say I like him more in the show. I'm glad that they didn't go with him just having a Rick Sanchez voice. Alastor, I have talked about extensively already, but why not touch on him again? In the show, he's a lot more of just like a brat, essentially. A try-hard, edgy teen trying to prove how strong he is. Alastor becomes a lot less scary when his dialogue is constantly begging for you to suspend disbelief and see his decisions as smart, or with these like undefined random powers, or saying things like, "It's time I teach everyone again not to mess with the radio demon." It's just cringe. He's the kid role-playing on the playground, blocking every attack and deciding he has whatever powers he wants in that moment. Pilot Alastor keeps his professional attitude at all times, and he never takes things personal. Unlike current Alastor with the coaster, teasing Husk for being his clown, and doesn't waver his upbeat attitude around anyone for any reason. Show Alastor is so easy to read in his expressions. He can't hide anything. His eyes are so like obvious, and his words just give it all away. Compare this to Pilot Alastor, who you really can't clock immediately. He does have that mystery to him. He's strict on keeping up this radio host act, humming eerily as he looks around, and also, again, I really miss how his staff talked to him. It was such like a fun trait. I thought the souls were collected in there and stored in the staff, and it would explain why that thing is so strong. He's patient and about making deals, no pressure. He knows that he's gonna get what he wants eventually. Serpentious in the pilot, I liked him being a one-off villain shouting, "I'm so evil!" But hey, he gets expanded upon good in the show. Cherry also, she's not terribly interesting in either of them, so I'm not gonna really talk about her until she gets more to her character. Now, Katie and Tom Trench. Yes, I have a whole video talking about them and how much I hate their new versions. Bring back Tomar. He can save the character. Tom Trench is such a nothing burger now, but I know my goat in the pilot was genuinely more powerful than any sinner combined. All of them. He was just letting Katie hurt him because like he knew if he lashed out, he would destroy all of hell. Tom is the most powerful. Katie Killjoy has just become Brandon Rogers, that's it. She isn't a unique, inspired character anymore. Yes, I hate his humor. Vine is dead and you need to evolve. These jokes all suck. It's loud, it's obvious, it's in your face, begging for you to laugh at it, and the material is just lacking. Of course, this is his favorite comedian ever. You guys remember when he did blackface? And it got just brushed off as, oh, that's just his humor, it's just offensive humor. He just always does that. Oh, sensitive snowflakes. There's a huge difference between offensive humor and just straight up being racist. And that shit, in my opinion, there's a huge difference. People get so mad at Kovac for the shirt incident, the thing that sounded similar to the N-word. Somehow just did not care about this. Like, I'm just saying, one is objectively crazier to be ignoring than the other. Michael at least did apologize for that situation. And from everything I've gathered, Brandon doubled down on the blackface. I hope I'm wrong here. I hope the research I did, I hope I got the information wrong, and I would be happy to learn that he did apologize. Knowing that crowd, I'm not hopeful. But yeah, Katie in the show just makes it obvious. It makes obvious statements in a loud, flamboyant voice, and that's the joke. Very, middle school humor, but whatever, man. Basically, the pilot had nuance, and the show flanderizes everything to an absurd degree. You know, let me say too, Brandon's humor, it feels a lot like a queer person who's like just come out and still like wants to be homophobic so that they can get the approval of the conservatives. And Vivzy has a similar type of humor with all the like very high-key homophobic stuff in her show. That's something I can talk about more in depth if I make a video on the humor of Hazbin. If you guys would be interested in that, let me know. I probably will make it anyway, but you know, if you guys let me know, I'll make it faster. Question of the video, what do you miss from the pilot? And second question, what do you think the show does better? Because I'm sure there's things that the show has that's better. I know this was a little bit brief, probably just a lot of reiterating things that I've already said about these characters in their pilot versions, but I just wanted to make a video dedicated to this to just say again, yes, it was better in the way it characterized everyone. I hate fans that are like, oh, well, the new one is more substantial, there's more stuff, pilot doesn't have as much, when really it was like, the promised characters were better, objectively. Anyway, memberships are available if you want to support me. You can do like $3 a month, $9 or $15, you know, mango, snake, or hyena. And only if you want to, of course. Thank you for watching. We have a Discord. I hope my links are working. Let me know if those are, or if I need to replace them. I think I said that in another video. These are all kind of... I record my videos in advance, and then I edit a bunch of them, and I schedule them, so I don't have to, like, worry for a while, and then I can, like, work on the script, blah, 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 whatever. You know, you guys don't care about that. Like, comment, subscribe, type the video. Love you so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.